Hey guys, welcome back to the BNB podcast. This is episode number 10. And today I have Jainish with me, who's the co founder at Terramatic. Thank you for doing this. What we're going to do is that we're going to talk about Janish's startup. And we're looking for people who are usually uh, trying to build something and not someone who's already made it to that point, because we ourselves are in that pool. So I assume it makes sense, and just since we're documenting, this becomes a part of your documentary as well, that
Makes sense.
what happens when what was the story when you were building Terramatic or while you were building Terramatic. So let's dive in.
Perfect.
Anything that you'd like to share before we get started?
Okay, so before we get started, there are two things. To be on a certain level or to achieve a goal, there are multiple ways that we can choose of, right? So, what I'm going to talk about is all from my perspective, what I've learned or what journey or what path that I've took. It doesn't mean that that is the only path that the
Yeah.
people who are watching that needs to take. That can be multiple routes. So, I'm just talking from my perspective and experience.
Yeah.
And the second thing, I'm not here to influence. I'm just talking about myself. And when there's camera, we give a conscious answer. By conscious answer, what I mean it like एक था ना वो कि ट्रेन की पटरी है, एक तरफ फैमिली है, एक तरफ 200 लोग हैं, तो आप तो दिखाने के लिए कुछ भी बोलोगे, बट व्हेन दिस सिचुएशन रियली इज लाइक दैट,
Yeah.
our choices might be different from what we say in front of people and what we do in real life. So while doing this, as there are cameras and I'm consciously answering all of your questions,
Yeah.
there might be possibility where I give a standard bookies answer, but in a real life I might not do that as well. So that be there.
No, that's very honest. और ये हो सकता है. I mean, I don't know हमारे साथ होता है या नहीं, but I'm pretty sure if me and Neil or me, Neil and Janki are talking, chances are that किसी ना किसी तरह से we know that we are being recorded, or we might end up talking things that are good, but at least being aware for the fact that हाँ ऐसी चीज़ें हो सकती है, and giving a heads up perfectly makes sense. Thank you for doing that. अगर you see us doing that, chances are कि शायद हम भी ऐसी कुछ चीज़ें कर रहे हो knowingly unknowingly, so that might be happening to a lot of us, but we try to keep it as candid as possible. We can avoid the camera. Okay, where do you come from, like Janish? अब तक की स्टोरी क्या रही है? Just like everything, a high level overview of you being a kid, your thoughts, your aspiration while you were a small kid growing up, to a point where now you are trying to do something with road safety with Terramatic.
Okay, so I was brought up in a place called Baleswar. Is a tier 2, tier 3 town maybe. And I'm a middle class, like we are a middle class family. But the place where I've been brought up, all of the people that I was surrounded with were NRIs. So बचपन से ही यानी I've seen कि पैसा कितनी हद तक वो लाइफ इजी कर देता है, या फिर how easy is for them to सर्वाइव इन अ लाइफ. सो बचपन से ही ऐसा तो था कि अंधा पैसा कमाना है, knowingly unknowingly subconsciously, yes.
Yeah.
So and the second thing, from the childhood, I've been doing good academically, and like all the logical and all the person, like I can think it through, and I feel it in comparison with other people.
Okay.
So I've been an innovator from the childhood, not as in कि टेस्ला की तरह या फिर एडिसन की तरह लाइट बल्ब इन्वेंट कर देंगे, लेकिन I was a curious kid. Like I always like to get into the core. Why did this happen? Like I've always been fascinated by physics as well. So innovation वाली thinking पहले से थी.
Yeah.
And A, innovation, and B, this urge to earn money. So, and the third thing I would say, my parents, my dad has a philosophy कि जितना आप ट्रैवल करोगे उतना आप लाइफ में अच्छा बन पाओगे, नई नई चीज़ें सीख पाओगे. And we as a family with parents and with Masaji and हमेशा दिवाली वैकेशन, समर वैकेशन में कहीं ना कहीं घूमने जाते थे। तो एक ट्रैवल का कीड़ा बचपन से था। तो ये 3 चीजें, एक अंधा पैसा, दूसरा फ्रीडम, और ये तीसरा की इनोवेशन। तो कॉलेज के टाइम से ही आई ऑलवेज बीन इनटू अ टेक। अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट मेरे जो सर्कल थे उसी में भी यानी ऐसी बातें होती रहती कि 9 to 5 में क्या है, ये सेम रूटीन बन जाएगा। फिर उसी टाइम पे इंस्टाग्राम आया था, तो यानी यूट्यूब भी आया था। यानी जो आपकी सोच है या फिर आप जिस डोमेन में ज्यादा आपकी इंटरेस्ट है उसी डोमेन का आप लोग देखते हो। तो सेम चीज वही पॉडकास्ट या फिर कोई वीडियो भी ऐसी थी कि 9 to 5 ये है वो है। एंड देन आई गॉट इंट्रोड्यूस विद द स्टार्टअप वर्ल्ड। तो तब से ऐसा था कि स्टार्टअप इज अ वन वे टू अचीव all 3 of these goals. A, to do something innovation. B, you can earn crazy ass money.
Of course.
And C, to get a freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom in terms of time, freedom in terms of money, freedom in terms of health, etc.
Yeah.
So usually ऐसा होता है कि you identify a problem that you are passionate enough to solve. But in my case, I was first fascinated with the startup, and then I started looking forward to identify the problem that I can solve. And the Terramatic, I haven't actually introduced Terramatic, right? So Terramatic, okay, Terramatic, whenever accident happens, we say it was people's fault, right? But there's a concept called road safety audit where we believe in forgiven roads. So we make a system or a road environment such a robust कि जो एक्सीडेंट की तरफ लीड करे वैसे सारे एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर्स को हम लोग आइडेंटिफाई करके उसको कम कर सके, उसको we can take a preventive measures to reduce the road accident. So that is the concept of road safety audit, and we here at Terramatic are streamlining and digitalizing the entire process of road safety audit with computer vision and other computational power.
Yeah.
So like I said, I was fascinated by startup, I was fascinated by earning money, I was fascinated by innovations. So the road safety audit was my final year's project, and then it hit me ki like it's a very time consuming process. It's a very important process because in a way we are reducing accident, and whether you know it or not, but जितने लोग कोविड की वजह से मरे सेम लोग हर साल में रोड एक्सीडेंट की वजह से मरते हैं। और कोविड में जो मरे हैं उनकी एज है 35+, बट जो एक्सीडेंट से जिन लोगों की डेथ होती है वो यूजुअली 8 to 30 के बीच में होता है। सो these are the young people who are suffering, and because of this, developing country like India takes a direct hit of 3% in its GDP, and if you convert the 3% into valuation, I'm not sure, but it's around 68 billion US dollars. So it's a huge problem to be solved. That's where Terramatic came into the picture, and that's the journey of mine from childhood to the Terramatic.
Yeah, I mean, मेरे लिए it's fascinating with the first time we met. And first off, just before we go there, how old are you? I didn't forgot to ask you yesterday.
25th, I'll be turning 25th.
Holy shit! I mean, I hardly had sense to think in the manner you're thinking. So I guess when you say that that a lot of young people, especially in the age of 8 to 30, are losing their lives because of road accidents or on road. It's a terrifying thing, because now if I look at myself back when I was 25, I didn't do much, but today young generation who's under 30 are doing batshit crazy stuff. And and it's a nice cause to uh, uh, solve or fight for. I also have a question around NIT. Like, what does it feel to be in NIT? Was it really clear for you to be a part of NIT? Was it like something that you already had कि भाई जाना है तो NIT में ही जाना है or else not, या फिर it was okay, ठीक है, school is good, marks अच्छे आ रहे हैं, पास में कहीं चले जाते हैं, like. And I have been fascinated by NIs, anything like whether it's NIT, NID. I still am fascinated about being part of National Institute of Design at any given point. I would want to be there. So just give me everything that you experienced in NIT.
In a single line, if I wouldn't have been to NIT, I would be a totally different person. यानी the majority of my credit of being successful or even starting a startup, I will give to NIT.
Okay.
So in Gujarat, what happens is if you score good in 10th, you'll take either engineering or science, or if you score less, you'll go in commerce. So till the 12th, the environment, the influence around me was such in a way that 12 तक तो पाथ सेम ही था, यानी सारे लोगों को एक्स्ट्रा थॉट देने नहीं पड़ते थे. लेकिन आफ्टर 12th आई स्टार्टेड डूइंग रिसर्च एंड रियलाइज कि so like I said, I was always into tech, so my first preference was to get into a computer science.
Okay.
But unfortunately I didn't get computer science in NIT, but I did get a civil engineering in NIT. So I consciously decide to pursue NIT to get the environment rather than to
एक्सट्रीम पकड़ने के बदले you choose NIT.
environment. Yes.
Yeah.
Till 12th you will always find कि you are at the top of your game. लेकिन when I get into NIT, वहाँ पे जाके पता चला कि the people who come from tier 1 city, metro city, they speak such a fluent English, they talk with the professor with high contact, with such a confidence. तो वहाँ पे तो पूरा हिल गया. तो पहले के 2 साल तो यानी कहाँ ही आ गए, यानी फ्रॉम टॉप टू बॉटम. सो दैट वाज वन ऑफ द थिंग. उसके अलावा भी यानी द प्रोफेसर डूइंग अ रिसर्च वर्क that are going to be implemented nationwide. With the people come from the different background, financially, religiously, culture difference. So you get to so much कि आप कोई एक ही डायरेक्शन में नहीं थिंक करोगे. आपके पास इतने सारे इनपुट्स है कि यानी आप सारे डायरेक्शन से थिंक करना स्टार्ट कर दोगे. तो दैट रियली अफेक्टेड मी टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ NIT.
एंड इट वाज मतलब पहले से क्लियर था NIT इज द स्पेस, या फिर यू कुछ और कोशिश की थी कि कहीं गुजरात के बाहर जाता हूँ या फिर कोई और जगह जाता हूँ?
एंड any NIT was the first preference.
Okay.
But at that time I didn't know that ये इतना बड़ा उसका इम्पैक्ट होगा मेरी लाइफ पे. बट say it a gut feel, say it luck, but I did choose NITs in comparison with the other colleges or branch.
Okay. And as you said that road safety auditing के around, like हमारी बात हुई थी कल, and you shared some highlights about how did everything around road safety happen, like how did you got introduced to the subject for the first time?
It was not like I choose a road safety audit to start a startup. It's a funny story actually. So road safety audit was my college final year project, and fortunately under the professor whose my college project has designed the course of road safety audit for the Ministry of Road Transportation. So he has the domain expertise. In a civil engineering, you are required to choose a faculty under which you want to do your final year's project, right? So 9 CGP वाले को पहले प्रायोरिटी देती है. इन सिविल देयर आर 2 पार्ट्स, एक तो प्योर सिविल, दूसरा मैकेनिक्स वाला होता है, स्ट्रक्चर वगैरह जिसमें. और मैकेनिक्स की फैकल्टी इज मोर चिल देन द प्योर सिविल्स फैकल्टी. सो द 9 CGPA गाइस आर लाइक पहले उनको चूज कर लेंगे तो लाइक प्रोजेक्ट का थोड़ा लोड कम हो जाएगा, सो दे कैन फोकस ऑन अदर थिंग्स, मे बी प्लेसमेंट और एनीथिंग एल्स. सो आए 9 CG वाले पहले सारे फैकल्टी को चूज कर लिए. देन I have, by the way, I got 7.5 CGPA, 7.6, I don't even remember. तो हम सोचे थे कि 9 से लेके 7 तक आते आते तो सारी अच्छी फैकल्टी चले जाएंगी. But the thing is the guy who was deciding कि अब 9 CGPA वाले चूज करो suddenly stops at 8 and they started कि अब सबसे पहले 7 वाले चूज करो. तो सिविल में there was different branches, वाटर हो गया, जियो हो गया, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन हो गया. सो मेरा ये फिक्स था कि वाटर में नहीं जाना है. जियो थोड़ा कंफ्यूज था, तो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन वाज अ स्वीट स्पॉट फॉर मी कि इसमें जा सकते हैं. अगेन ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में वापस से 3 फैकल्टी थी. वन वाज अ प्रोफेसर, अनदर 2 वाज असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर. सो समवेयर आई हैव हर्ड कि ये प्रोफेसर इज अ वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट, ही डजंट लेट इट गो, यानी एकदम टू द पॉइंट सब कुछ सही चाहिए उनको. तो आई वाज अफ्रेड कि उसमें नहीं जाना. बट द सेकंड प्रोफेसर, ही वाज अ गुड गाय. ओके, सो आई डिसाइडेड कि उसके अंदर जाना है. हम 3 दोस्त थे, वो एक दोस्त ने बोला कि उसके साथ जाना, उसके अच्छे से जा थे तो उसने पहले उनको चूज कर लिया। एंड फॉर्चुनेटली अनफॉर्चुनेटली जस्ट मेरे आगे 2 वाले जो बच्चे थे वो दोनों ने सेम सर को चूज कर लिया। तो मेरे पास एट द पॉइंट लाइक 2 सेकंड में मेरे को डिसाइड करना था कि अब क्या करें, यानी वाटर में जाए, जियो में जाए, या फिर वो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन की स्ट्रिक्ट फैकल्टी में जाए। जस्ट बिकॉज वन ऑफ अदर माई फ्रेंड हैज चोजन दैट प्रोफेसर, तो उसके बेसिस पे ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ले लिया मैंने वो स्ट्रिक्ट फैकल्टी के अंदर। And that's how I got introduced with the road safety audit. And after completing the entire project, I realized how important this process is, but how at the same time how time consuming, and how like basically the people who does the road safety audit are experienced people more than 35 plus years, so they are used with the conventional method. So lots of pain points throughout the stretch of different steps of road safety audit. So that's where I realized it can be solved with the digital technologies. So I made a dummy website. I reached out to the professor and exact word. If you could automate this, it would have tremendous impact on the landscape of the road safety audit. So then I made a dummy website. I reached out to the different road safety auditor saying that आप data दो, this website will give you this result. And the people were so fascinated कि अगर आपके पास ये है अभी क्या, तो they would have bought it then and there कि आप मेरे को अभी दे दो. Nice. So that's how I like really validated the idea and started working full time on this.
Okay. And just for context, I know road safety audit because there is some association with Terramatic. We'll get to what Terramatic exactly is. How did we get to a point where Terramatic was, orchestrated into it being what it is? But can you share more details about what exactly road safety audit is? 10 या 15 साल के बच्चे को समझाना हो कि रोड सेफ्टी ऑडिटिंग होती क्या है, तो just
for tell us people who are not in transportation, I'll give you with the example, right? Yes. So there's a camera running. If you can see, there's a balcony. So balcony में अगर height कम होती, let's say height ठीक है, लेकिन वहाँ पे grill है, तो the spacing between the grills अगर थोड़ी ज्यादा होती है और छोटा बच्चा वहां से गिर जाएगा, तो टेक्निकली छोटे बच्चे की गलती है कि वहां से वो वहां तक गया है क्यों, या फिर पेरेंट्स वहां तक गया, किसी ने देखा क्यों नहीं. सो इट्स बट इफ द डिजाइन वुड हैव बीन इम्प्रूव्ड कि जहाँ पे स्पेसिंग वुड हैव बीन लेस, तो chances were कि that accident could have been prevented. The same thing is with road safety audit. We don't try to identify the design fault, but we rather focus on a thing that can lead to accident and how they can be improved if we take a proper precautionary actions. For example, in India we drive on a left side, right? So let's say there's a curve, we provide a W beam crash barrier. So अगर क्रैश बैरियर की ओवरलैपिंग ऐसे होगी और व्हीकल यहाँ से आएगा, हेड ऑन कोलिजन में ये सीधा उसके अंदर घुस जाएगा. लेकिन अगर जस्ट उसको ऐसे कर देंगे हेड ऑन कोलिजन में, रेदर देन अंदर घुसने की वजह ये बैंड हो जाएगा. सो दिस आर जस्ट अ सिंपल थिंग्स. द सेकंड की बहुत स्पीड से व्हीकल जा रहा है स्कूल नियर द स्कूल एरिया, जस्ट प्रोवाइड अ हम टू काम द ट्रैफिक. सो दिस आर जस्ट अ हाई लेवल small things. It goes very into technical things, and we identify all of those points that can lead to an accident, and we give how can we improve those points so that the accident can be prevented. So it's just like Grammarly. So it provide where exactly the fault or the issue is. B, it provide how is this a issue, how it can create a hazard or an accident. C, it provide how it can be improved. And D, it's in the road safety auditor's hand whether to accept the recommendation that our software has given or not.
Okay, so that's road safety auditing. And while you were doing the project, you encountered the problem space for the first time. You looked at the processes कि लोग कैसे कर रहे हैं अभी ये auditing. तो exactly कब strike हुआ कि ये problematic है? Like क्योंकि you did by yourself, did you go out and actually conduct one of the road safety audits by yourself, या फिर किसी और को करते हुए देखा, उनकी प्रोसेस देखी और उसमें लगा कि यार नहीं, ये शायद मे बी इसको अलग अलग तरीके से कर सकते हैं?
Yeah, so like I said, road safety audit was my final year's project, and in that final year's project, I had to complete 3 stretches of road safety audit.
Okay.
So different types of road were there. One was state highway, another was national highway, and another was village road. So yes, I have a hands-on experience on road safety audit, and that's where I realized this is a painful or this is a very tedious and time-consuming process. But again, it was a thought of a college child who was doing his final year's project, right? So I had to validate it. So I reached out to different people. I wanted to know whether they use some kind of technology intervention, at least a basic Excel sheet to validate the data or to check, cross-reference the data. But that also was not found in the market. So
Okay.
that's the case.
Okay. We've heard you from your childhood to a point where you ended up doing a project about road safety audit. You did it by yourself, so you experienced a problem firsthand. Now, as a kid who's about to graduate, uh, I'm pretty sure you might have started having those ideas कि यार अब तो पहले से वो चूल थी कि
कुछ करना
अंधा
है।
अंधा पैसा चाहिए, कुछ करना है, ऑफ कोर्स जॉब नहीं कर सकता मैं, तो स्टार्टअप ऑफ कोर्स नाउ एक प्रॉब्लम स्पेस भी है। नाउ यू सेड दैट एज वेल कि ऐसा नहीं था कि पहले से एक प्रॉब्लम था और फिर मुझे स्टार्टअप करना था। पहले से एक कंपनी या स्टार्टअप, एक प्रोडक्ट ओरिएंटेड बिजनेस इज द राउट यू वांट टू टेक, और उसके बाद शायद प्रॉब्लम मिल जाए वुड बी अ गुड थिंग। बट नाउ यू आर इन एनआईटी, एक एनवायरनमेंट मिला जहाँ ऑफ कोर्स यू लॉस्ट योर शिट एंड देयर वाज अ कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट सेटअप। सो वो भी बात करेंगे कि दैट हाउ एनआईटी शेप्ड, like how the environment pushed you kind of in a healthy way to almost go about building Terramatic. So that, and how did, like what went around, did you talk to people around you कि भाई तू आजा मेरे साथ, हम दो मिलके तीन मिलके, क्योंकि प्रोजेक्ट तूने अकेले ने तो नहीं किया था, there were 3 to 4 people with you. So when did those thoughts started happening? Like I'm assuming that this is almost 1 month away from your engineering graduation.
Yeah, okay. Before with that, you just said that job to nahi kar sakta. Okay. Now that I've started a startup, now that we have like raised some handsome amount of funding, equity free, equity with equity. So अभी बोलूँगा then it makes sense कि job नहीं कर सकता. लेकिन अगर startup fail हुआ होता है and the life would have led me to do the job, I would have done the job. So
But then we wouldn't have been talking this as well. Yeah.
okay, so coming back to the point, yes, just after just at the point where we are about to submit the project, a couple of months before that, we are a group of 3 people. We wanted to start as a group of 3, but both apart, like both of the other people has different objectives for their life. One
Okay.
wanted to pursue UPSC. The another didn't come from very financially stable background, so for him getting a job or getting a revenue was the first thing. So
Yeah.
we they like said we'll help you in a each and every way possible, but we won't be a full-time part of your startup. So I reached out to one of my junior who was into machine learning and computer vision thing. So we started building the product. We started collecting data and like all the product development sheet.
This was in NIT while you started building a product.
Okay, so I started with the 3 of these, right? But
Yeah.
2 of them backed out. So I made a dummy website, reached out to the different people for a market survey. It took me another 3 to 6 months after graduation from the NIT.
Okay.
After 6 months, once I validated the idea, then I reached out to one of my junior and started building the product.
POC kind of a demo.
POC kind of thing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, COVID happened. After COVID, we were financially stretched, and the time was not perfect where we could have been together and build a product. So they also the person with whom I was trying to build the software, he also wanted to pursue masters from, I forgot, from USA or Canada. So he after the COVID situation was
Kind of
normal,
settled down,
then he moved to USA. So I had to again start with a different set of people.
Okay.
So both of them were my college batchmates only. One was working in a Indonesia-based startup Gojek company. It's a big company. They were operated out of Bangalore. Another was in Cars 24. So they started helping me part time. But unfortunately, that also didn't work out because I don't have a product building expertise. So entire day I'll develop a algorithm, but I'll have to depend on them to do their part. And both of them will give only like 1 to 2 hours per day, and on a weekends they'll work. But again, it's a very resource intensive product where AI, ML, front end, back end, full stack, mobile application, all of those people needs to come under one roof and work with each other. So
Yes.
that was not the possibility. So unfortunately, that also didn't work out. So I was on a verge of leaving the
Giving up.
startup and
Yeah.
doing something else.
Okay.
Okay, so before that, after COVID, I didn't directly started with these people. I also joined a consultancy firm that performs the road safety audit. So I was getting paid 1/4 of what my were being paid. But I
Yeah.
just wanted to be a part of the same environment or same industry where the road safety was happening. So that's why I took a job. And I'll tell you how important was that. In,
I can assume, matlab, I'm pretty sure, putting yourself in the exact bloody context where the problem is happening and you living it every day, it just, please go on.
So it didn't work out with two of them as well. So there was a platform. I forgot its name. Was it called Hirect or something?
Hirect, yeah.
Hirect to hire people. But at the time, I didn't had any money.
Yeah.
So I reached out to lots of people, tried to convince them whether they can join full time as a co-founder to build a product. So luckily, there was a guy called Rahul Pandya. He was from Delhi. So we started building a project. He like was interested in it, and we started developing it. But it was 5 to 6 months. It didn't work out because like lots of reasons. I was not very familiar with the startup culture, how to like do different things. Uh, Product was not getting, so it was a college project, not a product that can be commercialized. So unfortunately, he also had some family issue. So he also like I told him to leave the startup because in my case I didn't had any family responsibility, I didn't had any other social responsibility. So agar fail hota hai, to I can bear it. But for him, he was almost around 30, 31, unmarried, just about to be married. तो
Situations अलग होती है.
हाँ, तो at that time I didn't have any confidence कि we'll be able to we'll be able to build it. तो I told him कि भैया आप बंद कर देते हैं, we'll go our separate way. And after that I started like I realized कि ये एक बंदे से तो नहीं होगा, I will require a team of people.
Team of people, yeah.
So then I listed out all the agencies in Surat who does the digital product development, and then Logic Wind was one of them, and then I pitched the idea to Nachiket, and that's how I got introduced with Nachiket. So I had lots of other agencies as well. So I ranked them out of 10. किनको स्टार्टअप के बारे में पता है, किनका कितना एक्सपीरियंस है, AIML में कितना एक्सपीरियंस है. एंड Logic Wind and the founder of Logic Wind, that is Nachiket, was the person की जिसको स्टार्टअप के बारे में भी पता था, and he was also into startup. So luckily उनको पिच किया, he was also interested. And remember I told you कि for 3 months I joined a firm.
Yeah.
So there was a guy who was doing PhD, and उनके रेफरेंस में एक सस्टेनेबल मोबिलिटी का चैलेंज आया था. दैट वाज ऑर्गेनाइज्ड बाय विलग्रो, एंड इट वाज CSR फंड ऑफ वन ऑफ द लीडिंग कार मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी. तो he knew ki what I was doing, what I was building. After 3 months, at that time, like it was very hard. I was traveling from Bardoli to Surat via bus, 2 hours of traveling each day, and that is also for a very little amount of half of the money that I was earning will be spent on traveling and food only
on a monthly basis.
On a monthly basis, and that also was a 1/4 of the peer.
Yes, while you're in the space, जो बंदे तेरे साथ थे, they were making 2x, 2.5x, 3x more than what you were making. Yeah.
So the people my batchmates were traveling foreign. Some of them would have bought a car, and
How many years after you completing your project to a point that all of this is happening? 2.5 years?
2.5 years. Yes.
Damn. Okay.
So-
So you still were like kind of, you knew building blocks, but there was nothing jammed together as a POC at that point as
at
well.
that point, yes. So family be like, I was a academically good kid, right?
Brilliant,
so,
yeah.
brilliant. So वो लोग भी क्या कर रहा है, उनको भी स्टार्टअप समझ नहीं आता, and the people around my family, उनको फैमिली वालों को बोलो कि भाई आपका बच्चा बहुत होनहार था, उनको गवर्नमेंट एग्जाम की तैयारी करे. So initially they supported, but after 1.5 years still zero progress. So they will also be like,
रहने दे बेटा.
not exactly रहने दे, but
Okay.
दूसरे ऑप्शन भी देख लो, दूसरे ऑप्शन भी देख लो.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was there. So हाँ, back to the
Traveling
point.
to, yeah, traveling from Baduri to Surat every day.
So at that time कि ये क्या ही कर रहा है, लेकिन that's how I got connected with that PhD guy who has a like maybe monthly newsletter or some kind of, but he got introduced with the sustainable mobility challenge. And while I was meeting with Nachiket, at that time he informed me कि ऐसा कुछ है and you guys should apply. And I applied to there, and we got 40 lakhs of equity free funding from
the
that
Terramatic.
incubation center.
Yeah, incubation
So,
center.
yeah, so that incubation center holds this challenge, sustainable mobility challenge, nationwide. And we got CSR funding from the incubation center. So
Okay.
अगर जो मैंने वो 3 महीने की जॉब नहीं की होती कि भाई पीयर मेरे साथ वाले लोग बहुत कमा रहे हैं, हर रोज की ट्रैवलिंग, तो वो बंदे से मिला ही नहीं होता, तो ये 40 lakhs भी नहीं मिले होते कि विच प्रोवाइडेड द लीडिंग बूस्ट टू रन अ स्टार्टअप. तो आफ्टर दैट पॉइंट सारी चीजें यानी प्रॉपर वे में सही से होने लगी. लेकिन अगर जो वो 3 महीने की जॉब नहीं की होती, तो the story would have
been different.
Yeah, exactly. So I was talking with my roommate. He was my roommate in first year. Chaba Zaman is his name. So we are talking, and I was telling him that I told him that I got lucky कि मैंने वहाँ पे job ली और got introduced with, and then got introduced with the other party and got funded. But I can say I was lucky because now that I've seen a past, I can connect the dots backwards. One of the lesson I'll give you to all the people who are starting out, कि put yourself in a place where you have higher odds of getting lucky.
Yeah, that is a nice one. How do you find those contexts where there are higher odds of getting lucky? How do you identify? Like, did you know that this was something that if you plant yourself in this environment, you might get lucky?
Sometimes it's an instinct. Like you know your industry, you know your people. Appear in events, appear where your customers are, or appear where your ecosystem is.
Yeah.
So
and it will happen. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Okay. While this 2.5 years when you were not seeing any light, what kept you motivated? Like, what kept you going? Of course, you were problem obsessed. You were working, and you somewhere felt that this was because to transition from a place where अंधा पैसा चाहिए, उसके बाद एक problem मिल गया, to then be in that bubble for 2.5 years. वो 2 साल कैसे काटे? Like, what kept you going? Mental resilience,
Okay,
your
so,
support, what?
बहुत सारी चीजें फैक्टर इन कर जाती है. Not me as a Jainish, but any person who is building a startup, कि उसके पास कोई फैमिली रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज है कि नहीं, व्हाट इज हिज फाइनेंशियल कंडीशन, उसके लाइफ के लाइक और सक्सेस मैट्रिक्स क्या है, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. तो मेरे केस में ये अच्छा था कि मेरी कोई फैमिली रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं थी. माय फैमिली वाज financially stable enough to survive on their own and feed me as well. So,
okay, you're doing this while living at home though.
Living
that
at
is
home.
one of the important things. Yeah.
Another, I didn't have like any social responsibility. I wasn't married.
Yeah.
वो भी कुछ नहीं थी. Plus just after graduation वाला जुनून था एक.
Young blood, raw blood. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
अनदर कॉर्पोरेट में ऐसा होता है कि यू टुक अप अ लोन, यू हैव अ कांस्टेंट ईएमआई, तो ऐसा भी कुछ नहीं था कि
किसी को पैसे देने हैं।
हाँ, तो दैट वाज वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट प्लस पॉइंट इन माय केस. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, कभी भी यानी when you are building a startup, lots of things can go wrong, lots of things you'll be able to not figure it out, and which will ultimately lead you to a question whether you want to drop it or not. So the best answer I think would be go talk to your customer. So go in an environment where your customer are, feel the pain or the problem that you are solving for them.
Yeah.
Communicate with them, they will give you market validation, they will give you boost कि हाँ भैया अगर बन गया तो वो तो है ही खरीदने के लिए, तो अगर ऐसे एक है तो इंडिया में बहुत सारे होंगे. तो दैट इज व्हाट kept me going कि
some validation
was there कि जब भी बनेगा, these are the people कि will pay for me once you get the money. All of those other things, all of those voices,
yeah,
will get silent.
Of course. And how do you keep yourself informative? So the thing is that you didn't have much experience about going and building a startup, or product as well. You come from a civil engineering background. वहाँ ये तो नहीं सिखाई जाती कि या ना यूजर रिसर्च ऐसे करते हैं, या फिर गो कस्टमर फर्स्ट, बिकम प्रॉब्लम ऑब्सेस, वहाँ जाके उनसे बात करो तो प्रॉब्लम के बारे में समझ आएगी, प्रॉब्लम समझ आई उसके बाद कुछ छोटा मोटा एक वेबसाइट या लैंडिंग पेज बनाओ, ट्राई टू कम्युनिकेट इट, गेट अ वैलिडेशन, उसके बाद try to go into. I don't think that you took a very structured process. I guess थोड़ा serendipity था, कुछ चीजें लाइन में पड़ती गई और you kept navigating it. But in a retrospect now, if you think that if you have to go back and do it all over again, क्या अलग करता?
What I would done different is I'll get my ABCs of startup clear first.
And where do you do that? How?
Lots of like YC startup school is there, lots of startup programs, free startup course, at least basic design thinking के बारे में या फिर product develop, rather than directly going and building, at least keep a day or a week aside and try to like structurize everything, that like this is the point where I am, this is the point I need to be, and what will be the different paths that I can take off. यानी बहुत सारी चीजें YouTube पर easily available मिल जाएगी. एक सर्च करोगे उसके साथ बाकी के 5-6 कीवर्ड्स आएंगे, वो वापस से सर्च करोगे, तो एक्सपर्ट नहीं बन जाओगे लेकिन उतना तो बन जाओगे कि इजीली यू कैन नेविगेट ऑल द थिंग्स. सो दैट आई वुड चेंज, बिकॉज नाउ आई थिंक कि जो ये 6 द थिंग दैट टुक मी 6 months to complete would have been completed within a month if I know this kind of different things.
Okay.
So
you'd start, where would you start first? Just completed engineering. Now, how would you do it differently? Okay. First thing, what would you do?
So let's not talk about Terramatic and talk about one general idea.
Yes.
A will do a back study, यानी घर पे ही रह के लैपटॉप कंप्यूटर पे जितना डेटा एक्सट्रैक्ट कर सको,
सेकेंडरी डेटा जितना भी है वेब पे, about the topic. Yeah.
So first will be the idea that I want to pursue. Like बहुत सारी चीज में उसमें भी कि स्केलेबल है कि नहीं, कितना इम्पैक्ट है, उसकी इंडस्ट्री क्या है, इंडस्ट्री का ट्रेंड क्या है, तो ये तो पूरा स्टार्टअप का अलग ही टॉपिक ही हो जाएगा.
वो उसके लिए वापस
बैठेंगे. तो बट नाउ दैट वी आर थिंकिंग, शायद से अब ऐसा लग रहा है नाउ दैट वी आर टॉकिंग कि अगर बहुत सारी चीजें जो मैं पढ़ना स्टार्ट कर देता ना, तो ये कॉन्फिडेंस ही नहीं आता कि चलो स्टार्ट करें. क्योंकि बहुत सारी चीजें आई वुड रियलाइज कि लॉट्स ऑफ थिंग्स दैट कैन गो रॉन्ग. सो वो जो नहीं जानना वो भी एक तरीके से
you end up knowing that as well, which can put you in a problematic situation. क्योंकि जब जानने लगो तो सब चीजें important नहीं होगी.
You will get bombarded with so much extra noises कि rather than focusing on main thing, जैसे कि let's talk about marketing. मार्केटिंग में भी बहुत सारी चीजें होती है, फाउंडर लेड मार्केटिंग हो गया या फिर परफॉर्मेंस मार्केटिंग. तो वी आर नॉट हियर टू बी एक्सपर्ट ऑफ मार्केटिंग, वी आर हियर जस्ट टू कि हमारे प्रोडक्ट के लिए बेस्ट क्या रहेगा. तो उसमें हमें फिर ऐसा लगेगा कि इतनी सारी चीजें करने को है, मैं ये कब कर पाऊंगा, कब सीख पाऊंगा, कब मेरे लिए अप्लाई कर पाऊंगा.
The to-dos keep on increasing kind of.
Yes. So once I got enough idea ki this is a problem that aligns what I want to solve or what I want to achieve in a life. Then I would validate it with the market, like whoever the customers are, maybe build a basic POC. Even startup culture is like it provides so much opportunities. There's a incubation center at Surat called Ashine. Apart from Ashine, like lots of government of Gujarat provide 2.5 lakhs of funding just based on an idea to develop a POC, that is proof of concept.
Yeah.
Once you have a proof of concept, they also under that student startup innovation policy provides further 6 to 10 lakhs of grant to build a product. So that money part has been covered.
Yeah.
Then second would be to build a team. What are the key components like that you cannot outsource? That is your key drivers to run a startup. Are they within the house or not? So if not, then I'll start building a team.
Yeah.
Once those two parts are covered, then I'll
Try to put everything together and get ready for launch or something. Okay.
So to add into what I would do different if I start again my startup journey, right? So for the people who are starting out for the first time, put yourself where you can learn the ABCs of startup. Maybe be an internet ongoing startup, attend an event, like lots of community are boosting the startup ecosystem. Head Start is there in different cities. Incubation centers are there. Do regularly they regularly organize an event where they talk about lots of things on a startup. Attend those events. Once you start attending those events, you will be added to a WhatsApp group or a common platform. You can interact with fellow like-minded people. So one of the great thing that happened with me when I was starting out, I didn't know shit about pitch deck, right? So I just made this is us, this is what we do. I had no idea how to design a pitch deck from different. Maybe it's if it's an elevator pitch deck, if it's an investor pitch deck, if it's a product pitch deck, from whom we are building, what are the topics that needed to be covered in a pitch deck. So I just made a PPT, roll it out on one of the WhatsApp group that was Head Starts community. 3 to 4 people reached out to me. So, okay, you are doing something good, but this is the things that needs to be changed to, make a more impact or to make a clearly convey the idea. Or you can change the wording in a way that way it would make more sense. At the same time, it would create a great impact. So, all of those things, feedback, ask people for help. अगर आप नहीं पूछते तो आंसर नहीं होगा. तो ask people for help. So
And yeah,
that would be for the people who are starting out. And second, like indulge yourself in an industry that you are going to operate in.
yeah,
Attend the events, या फिर go to the people who are expert in this event, reach out to them via mail, reach out to them via LinkedIn. So first, it will take time to if you are writing a cold mail, it will take time, some iteration to get to the point where exactly your statement hits to other person. And after that, like if you reach out to 10, 3 to 5 people will definitely respond positively.
yeah,
So
yeah. That
be
makes
there.
sense. Yeah. I mean, one of the most important thing is to be around people who actually keep you going. That is one of those things I wanted to ask you. What keeps you going?
Okay, so running a startup, getting into unknowns and figuring it out at the end. So that is a very excited feeling for me. So you don't know anything about, so let's say product development, or currently we are struggling with the go to market strategy.
Yeah.
So at the time, in a previous time, like lots of different hurdles were there. I didn't even know how to get into those hurdles or how to overcome this. But getting into unknowns and at the end solving it, like that has a
Yeah.
great feeling. So that's what kept me going.
So you're still chasing it though.
In a way, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, I guess one there's an so far we've talked about everything that has led to this moment, right? Like childhood से लेके अब तक की journey, the problems, the challenges that you face while building Terramatic, to a point where you have added funds to be able to create a product which is now being almost at the verge of being distributed or is getting distributed. So I guess that was kind of a good scenario wrap of what Terramatic is. What after what after this podcast? Like what after today? Where do you see Terramatic and yourself going? What's next for you and Terramatic?
For Terramatic, definitely we are currently focused on go to market and making strategies and actually like positioning ourselves into a market, getting more customers, educating them, and all of this. So next 6 to 8 months will be focused on that only. After that, we are planning maybe like lots of options. We have a vertical expansion, horizontal expansion, different features in our existing product to tap into entirely new industry. But again, we'll have to go by each and every possibilities, and we'll have to make a conscious decision depending upon the resources that we have available and the outcome that we are seeking.
Of
So
course.
that be a part of what Terramatic will be next.
Hmm.
About me, I'm still figuring out. I honestly no idea. So like I said, कि अंधा पैसा कमाना था. But now that I've met with lots of people, the definition or the success metrics for them, for me, have been changed or continuously being changed. कि now I sometimes I feel कि पैसा सब कुछ नहीं है. We also need something that keeps us excited, that encourages us, that that makes us that makes our mind at peace. So I'm still figuring out all of those for
क्या पता
myself.
बहुत ज्यादा पैसा ये सारी चीजें दे दे तो
हाँ वो भी हो सकता है. That's why ये बंद ही कर दिया ना.
Okay. This one is fun. I mean, this is a question that I wanted to ask, and I myself haven't thought about it. So let's see. I'll try to answer as well. But before we end it, I just want to ask this: that if you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So I personally don't idealize people कि इसके जैसा मेरे को बनना है. So rather than putting a name, I'll put a industry, not industry, a field from where I'll have a dinner with. So it would be like we're talking about. I'm still figuring out for myself. So
Yeah.
definitely, जिसके पास बहुत पैसा है. Second would be a monk or something कि he doesn't give a shit about like materialistic
Materialistic,
या
yeah.
emotionally. And third would be the people who are pursuing a single line of work, fully focused, without expecting any money. For example, people doing PhDs or doing research work in physics or researching something in physics कि he didn't even know कि उसका कुछ successful outcome होगा कि नहीं होगा.
Yeah.
और या फिर कोई artist या फिर Olympic players की जो 4-5 साल या 10-20 years they put for only 12 seconds of their performance.
Yeah.
Or 1 to 2 minutes of their performance. So third would be that, or I'll actually add 4 people.
Okay.
And the fourth would be so first is the people who has earned lots of money.
Yes.
Second would be some monk or something, and third would be this people who has dedicated their entire life for single goal. And the fourth will be the people who have continuously changed, who has continuous change in their emotion. Like they are very the travel influencer. Like they explore lots of things. They have highs and lows because they live out, like go out from their families. कभी-कभी struggle की वजह से like they tend to cry. So the people who have experienced all the emotion in a very short span
of time. Yeah.
Span of time.
Nice.
So sometimes it feels like what's the purpose of life, right? So it's like a game. You experience all of those things. Maybe it's a pain, success. So traveling is what I like. So
people who have gamified their life, kind of.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah.
So this will be the 4 people who I think I would like to have a dinner with. And like have a conversation with all of those people with the same question. So
Okay.
all of them, those will have a different perspective for the same question. So that'd be very interesting to define my success metrics in life.
Okay, that is a really good answer. Like nicely picked. Okay.
So what about you?
Uh, since you have given an answer which actually makes sense to me as well, I do have people as well, and I do have such niches of or segments or industries people are operating in, not people in general. So first is that I would want to sit and actually have uh, a conversation, so a dinner, a conversation filled with again same questions, but someone who has made shit tons loads of money but doing a service business, not a product business, not
Okay.
running a product, but a service business that is selling productized services. So I have people in mind who are doing it. So Chris Doe, Jonathan Courtney, these are two people who come from design background and they are running businesses at scale, selling productized services at scale. So I would want to sit with them and have a conversation with them. Second, I would want to sit with an athlete, a footballer and a cricketer. So that is 2 and 3. What motivates them to work on their mind and body the way they do? Because, and there are two people I admire the most. So if it is cricket, it's Kohli, and if it's football, it's Ronaldo. Because these are people who are not born with talent. These are people
Yeah.
who have developed it, and
Makes
I
sense.
believe in developing rather than being born with something. The fourth would be someone who is doing same like you, services in a social setup. Uh, People who are running NGOs, people who are working for a cause. Again, similarly, what drives them to do the type of work they do without seeking an outcome, without associating with an expectation of a return, which is uh, either socially or monetarily driven. So someone who is doing good work without that. So not necessarily a monk, but there are
Yeah.
people who might be running NGOs.
It's a great answer, but elaborating your fourth, uh, uh, you want to sit with the people who are doing selflessly for others,
Yeah,
right? So maybe one of the driving force for them that I think, so it's like eating ice cream. Some
Yeah.
people like it a lot and some people are not very fond of ice cream, right? So maybe in their mind or the environment was such a way that structure their mind कि it will give them joy or it will give them satisfaction कि किसी और के लिए अच्छा किया.
Yeah.
उनके upbringing में है ऐसा होगा. So that's why their brain is structured कि ऐसा करके उनको अच्छा लगता है. So that can be
That
one
is
of
an
the,
assumption. Yeah,
yeah, that is
I'm
definitely.
I'm hopeful of the fact that yes, it is their environment that have shaped them in a way uh, to operate in that way, and that actually makes sense. That yeah, उनके लिए for their mind it would be a dopamine hit to serve. And why I am very fond of that, like understanding those, like the psychology of those people is uh, at the core of any business is service. Like you learn that अगर वो बंदा हॉस्पिटैलिटी से भी हो ना तो भी इट्स फाइन. Why? Because people in the hospitality sector have to operate. उनका दिन पूरा दिन वैसे जाता है. Like look at your barbers, look at the people who help us be more in shape and be more beautiful, people who serve food, people who make your rooms so that you enjoy a good stay. This that has a sense of service. How do you engrave that thought that service is the utmost worship for you? Because if you can serve people through a business, through a product, or through a service, uh, monetarily, monetary rewards are
Secondary.
yeah secondary. It flows and it flows like shit. Just a thought.
Again, the people who are doing like the service business might not consciously, I'm not talking about the people who are earning shitload of money, I'm talking
Yeah.
about the people in general, like barbers or people in the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
I personally feel that themselves wouldn't have any answer to your question.
Yes.
I think you have to meet ton of people to figure out what they went through or what the underlying motivation
Is
is
yeah.
to them. So
What dinner will be that chance where the first conversation picks? Okay, I guess
that can be the entire new series for your podcast
yes,
as well.
yes, a dinner. We can actually do that actually. Not everyone who has been there, but जो हमसे थोड़ा ज़्यादा पैसा कमा रहा है, जो हमसे थोड़ा ज़्यादा सर्विस ओरिएंटेड है, जो हमसे थोड़ा ज़्यादा शेप में है, and a fucking dinner with all of these people. पता चला वो बोल रहा है मैं vegan खाऊंगा. But anyways, I guess that's a good way to maybe say a goodbye to this episode. Or is there anything you'd want to add before we wrap it up?
I think we have covered lots of things on topic, off topic.
Yes, that's the whole point. You never stay on topic because that's not how products are built.
So, anyways, if something's left out, we can always plan another podcast, another episode as well.
Of
So
course.
I think that'd be goodbye for now.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess that's all from our end. Before we close this, Jainish, where can people find you online? Because that's what we try to do always. We try to make sure that if someone is interested, getting in touch with you shouldn't be that difficult.
Okay, so if you want to connect with me personally and professionally. Professionally,
You charge money.
I don't charge money at this point. I'm
Yeah.
not at that level yet, but
Yeah.
you can look it up for me on a LinkedIn. On Instagram, I go by handle backpacker because I like to travel. So
Okay. And LinkedIn is Jainish Chaudhary.
Jainish Chaudhary.
Okay. And yeah, that's where to find me. Mostly if you're listening to this in the sequence that we have been rambling about it. But if not, then you can find me online on LinkedIn. And yeah, my name is Harshil Patel. we didn't talk about it. And yeah, I hope you enjoy listening to us. That's a wrap from our end. Have a good one. Cheers.
Yeah.